I'm Sierra, and I'll be your host for 19th Century Talk. Let me introduce you to the special guests that we have. Okay, and our first guest, Robert Koch. What exactly did you do?
Well, Sierra, I developed a new experimental method to figure out what organisms cause disease.
And what is this organism?
So I built on Pasteur's germ theory, You know germ theory?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just making sure you know germ theory, because some of us aren't knowledgeable, I guess. But I proved that the bacterium Borreliosis anthracis was the cause of anthrax.
And what is anthrax?
It's a disease that sheep and cattle develop. It gets in their lungs and their skin, and humans can have it transferred over to them, and it can cause skin ulcers, and it acts as a form of pneumonia.
Is there anything else you would like to add?
Now, Sierra, thanks for having me here.
Thanks for being here. Okay, and our next guest is Louis Pasteur. So, Louis, tell me about yourself.
Well, I was born in Dole, France in 1822. I loved art when I was younger, before even beginning to think about being a chemist or anything. I painted and I drew, and I studied in Paris, and I became a research chemist.
And how did you get your start?
Well, people for thousands of years believed that life appeared from nothing, such as dust into fleas or maggots from dead flesh. But really, I discovered that microbes are the cause of that. They're the things that caused food to go bad.
And how did your discovery help your future discoveries?
I was visited by a man while I was working as the Dean of Research at the Faculty of Science. I was visited by a man named Bigo, and he created alcohol, but for some reason his alcohol kept turning bad. And so then I took samples from the vats and I studied them and found microbes in them. And so we've discovered that microbes caused them to go bad, but I also turned it to things as other liquids such as milk or wine. And I discovered that heat is the thing that kills those by like boiling milk or whatnot.
Awesome. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And our next guest, Clara Barton. So, Clara, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Clara Barton. I am the one that is responsible for developing the Red Cross. The Red Cross is something that I kind of developed to stick it to the man, I guess.
Why did you decide to develop the Red Cross?
Well, I said to stick it to the man, didn't I? But it is because I was a nurse and a school teacher and a patent officer, and I wanted to show the world that women could do more. They could do more than just sit at home. I was a nurse for the Civil War, and as I was being a nurse for that, I saw all the gruesome war injuries, but not just the war injuries. I saw what was happening to the people around, and I saw that they needed help, and so I developed the Red Cross to go out, not just help the soldiers, but to help the people in the community, to give them food or bedding or clothing, especially young children.
Well, you sound like a remarkable woman. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now I'd like to introduce to you guys our next guest, Joseph Lister.
Hello, Sierra.
Hello, Joseph. Tell me your story.
Well, I was born in April 15th. No, it was the 15th, it was the 5th. I was born April 5th, 1827 in Uptown England. I studied at Oxford, Ivy League, gotta get that in there. I was a professor of surgery at Glasgow University, and that was my life.
When did you start looking into antiseptic medicine?
Well, I was reading on this man named Louis Pasteur. He discovered that microbes in the air were causing food to go bad, and they were causing a lot of problems. And so, yeah.
And how has this furthered your research?
Well, I discovered that wounds need to be cleaned thoroughly every time, and they need to be covered with carbonic acid. Especially compound fractures, that's when the skin is broken by the bone, and it causes a lot of issues because germs can get into the wound easier. Excuse me. And I developed the carbolic acid into a mist to spray during surgery, but we discovered that it actually causes tissue damage, and so then we took it and we have been soaking lint cloth in carbolic acid and applying those to the wound as bandages, and it has helped the wound to stay clean and help it to not get infected, and it has actually taken the surgery death rate down from 47.5% down to just 15%.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Get out. And we had one more guest, but he died about a century ago. And his name is William Morton. He was born on August 9th, 1989, and he gave the first successful public demonstration of ether anesthesia during surgery. And he began practicing dentistry in 1844, and then in January 1845 went to Massachusetts General Hospital in Boston, where his former dental partner demonstrated. He unsuccessfully attempted to demonstrate the anodyne properties of nitrous oxide gas. And Morton was determined to find a better pain-killing chemical, so he consulted his former teacher, Charles Jackson, who had worked with him on pain relief. And they discussed using ether, and Morton used it extracting a tooth And unfortunately, he tried to obtain exclusive rights to the use of ether anesthesia, and he spent the remainder of his life in a costly contention with Jackson, who also wanted exclusive rights, which neither of them obtained. What a sad life. And that's all. Thank you again for watching 19th Century Talk. I'm your host, Sierra.